Welcome to Gadgets for Families, the tech podcast for those that always plan on September being the busiest tech support month and sometimes have to leave that shiny new iPhone in the box while trying to help their clients navigate the new OS updates, set up new phones, etc. Jason, we never experienced that in the corporate world, did we?
Oh, all the time.
Yep. And those that really want to learn more about the new OS or the new phone they just got. So this is for all of you. And anyone else looking to get more out of life through tech, I'm your host, Greg Cunningham.
And I'm your host, Jay Benjamin.
Well, Jason, let's move into our main topic then. So we're going to kind of break this into three segments. First one, we're going to talk about iOS 17 and app updates. Then we're going to talk about the iOS and the iPhone reviews that have come out, and then we'll talk about where I spent my money and whether I regret it or not, and do that. So let's start with the iOS 17 and app updates. And I think you and I are on the same page about this year is weird, right? It's just weird.
It is. It is. And so I was being patient at first, but I noticed it right off, like the same day and then the next day and then the next day. And I'm like, well, and I'm going to go on a bit of rant about this in a little bit, but like none of the apps that I use specifically say an iOS 17 update, right? They're getting their regular, and they have their generic, we constantly improve our apps to do this, blah, blah, blah. This fix contains bugs, fixes, and things like that. And that's it, right? I'm like, okay, this is probably what they were working on with iOS 16. It's nothing new, no new features or nothing like that. So yeah, I thought it was weird because I noticed, and then a week went by, and I'm like, what is going on? This is really different this year. So you noticed it too.
Yeah, and it's not like there aren't plenty of updates coming in, right? I'm doing half a dozen to a dozen app updates on both of my devices every single day. But it used to be that day of iOS X launch, right? There were hundreds over those next couple of days, and all of them said iOS X compatibility, and then it listed all the new things that they were doing. And
all the new things, the new features, the new widgets, if any, and stuff like that. Yeah.
And there are new features, right? I mean, even if you just think about the most obvious ones, which are interactive widgets, standby functionality, right? And then if I think about the watch, the whole concept of the widgets on the watch, and I'm just not seeing any of that. And I'll talk about just a few that that did some of this here in just a minute. But overall, I am really disappointed that we're not seeing more of these apps embrace some of the new iOS 17 functionality. And so I'm actually a little bit frustrated by it. I mean, I spoke too soon last week or whenever it was when I said that that my workout app had started working. No.
Right. And then the same day.
No, it's inconsistent. And there's been an update, but it didn't mention anything about watchOS 10 compatibility. And so that's my number one frustration. My number two frustration is those apps that I'm seeing update don't seem to be embracing, I'll call it this, the widget ecosystem, for example. I'm just going to focus on widgets because that's the biggest thing I've been trying to do here, right? Is I want widgets on my home screen, I want widgets on standby mode, and I want widgets on my watch, right? I want all of those things. And so I've got these apps that are updating and saying we're embracing widgets and interactive widgets. And then I go to the watch and bleh. That's another from last week. Wah, wah, wah. Right?
Yep.
So I love the apps and I love widgets. So what's going to win, right? Is the app going to win me over, or am I going to go start looking for a different workout app that's going to embrace the widgets on my watch so I have a little bit easier time with that, or that at least fixes the communication issues that I'm having, right? And the funny thing is that app I paid for, that workout app I paid for, it was like $5 or $6 or something like that. And I love it, but I didn't pay for it because I wanted it on my phone. I paid for it because I wanted it on my watch. And how many people pay for watch apps, right? Like,
right. Not many.
So yeah, so that's what I'm seeing. I think the apps that are widget centric, that are widget apps themselves, I think they've
Hmm.
done a good job, but it just seems like everybody else is slow.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that these apps are coming, right? And I'm with you. I know if the adoption doesn't take off for it, then they're going to deprioritize it, right? We'll get it, but we'll get it in December or something like that, or so you're right. The more people, the more other developers that take advantage of this, that build that popularity, and to get people used to using widgets and stuff on the watch, the more interest that it'll it'll stir with other developers. But yeah, if this last week is any indication of how things are going to be, yeah, then it's going to be pretty slow to get these features that we've been dying for.
Yeah.
So, or we could be wrong. Maybe everyone has one in the pipeline now, and they're just working out those bugs and working out those last few issues, and they're going to just start hitting us with them in the next
Yeah.
in the next few weeks, which is what I'm hoping. But yeah, no, I'm just surprised at how iOS 17 just didn't seem like a big deal
Yeah.
from some of these developers.
And I actually, from a checking stuff standpoint, I'm not just relying on what they tell me. So if I'll see an app that I believe should have a widget like on my
Hmm.
watch and I install the update, I go in and check.
Yes,
So I'm not just relying
yes,
on their release notes, because some organizations are really horrible about what they do with their release notes, right? So
right. And they keep it like we said earlier. They keep that same generic. We're
yeah,
continue to improve. This is what's included. We fix these bugs and blah blah blah. They
yep.
get some intern to put it up. So yeah, yeah, you're right. Don't depend on the release notes, but
Well, let me talk on that down note. Let me talk about some apps that have updated and what I've seen from them.
hmm.
And I'll start with apps that are dedicated to widgets. So you can't talk about widgets without talking about underscore David Smith's Widget Smith. So this is kind of the be all end all about widget apps. And if you want to hear an amazing story, you got to find I can't remember what podcast he was on, but he talked about when widgets first launched, and he launched Widget Smith right on the day one.
Hmm.
And he was on holiday or something. He's in the UK and he was on holiday and um, was visiting family and wasn't planning on doing a whole bunch, and went back and looked, and he had hundreds and hundreds of emails in his support box from
Right.
his app, and it had gone viral. And so his holiday turned into him with multiple laptops and his family helping him respond to stuff and him releasing. But it was a great story, but pretty amazing. So it is all up and running. And I want to just talk
Hmm.
about two of the widgets that I'm playing with there. So one
Okay.
of them, because these widgets can be interactive, right? You can basically kind of scroll or tap through things. And so the first one I have super, super simple. I'm going to do more with this when I get my new phone. But on my
Hmm.
current phone, I just picked a picture of my wife that I really like. And then it gives you the ability to put a note or a message behind that. And so if I tap on
Okay.
the picture of my wife, it could pop up and say, my best friend, or, whatever the case may be. And just a fun
Right.
little thing. I'm sure people are doing more stuff with that, but I thought that was a really cool implementation. It's not a smart stack. You know how you can
Hmm.
flip through smart stacks of widgets?
Yeah.
It's not that. It's just a single widget that I can tap on, and her picture kind of slides up and I see the message, and then it slides back down. Really,
Oh,
really cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that one's free. The Widget Smith does have a subscription, which I think I'm probably going to have to get. And that one's free. And this next one is also free. The
Hmm.
next one, do you remember CoverFlow for music? Right? Where
Yeah.
you could just
Yeah.
swipe through the album covers.
Yeah. Look really cool on the. Yep. I remember that.
He has created that in a widget.
Okay.
So you can go in
But
and
is it like a
custom.
smart stack
No, it is
with
not a
multiple?
smart stack. It is a
Okay.
single widget, and you can go in and you can configure it, and you add either the playlists or the albums that you want to have, and basically
Okay.
you just tap on the next one and then tap on the next one, and it just slides the cover art over.
Right. That is really
And
cool.
then if you tap on the one that's front and center to start playing
Mhm.
that album, playlist, or whatever it is, it'll start playing. And if you have because it'll allow you to choose which music player you're going to play the music out of too.
Hmm.
If you have it set to Apple Music, for example, and you've got Apple Music's Now Playing widget,
Hmm.
it updates both widgets.
Really
And so now all of a sudden your Now Playing widget is that same playlist, and you've got all of the Apple Now Playing stuff to go along with
nice.
it. So
Okay.
it is really, really cool. I need to put it on my iPad too, but um, I just think that's amazing. And those are the only two that I've played with in there. And he's got dozens of new interactive widgets in that app.
Okay.
So if you haven't
Yeah,
played with
I
it, you
want
need to
that.
go in and play with that one.
I want that one. That one sounds really cool. I used to love the cover flow thing. I really loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna jump on that one.
he has done an amazing job on that. So now the other one that's related to this is called Widget Pod. Now you have to buy this one to actually do the widgets. You can go configure as many as you want, but you have to actually buy this one to go to turn them on, basically, right? And so
Okay.
it's just another one. It was actually recommended in, I think it was Federico Vitici's. You guys can see me on camera. You can see that I'm actually going in and trying to look at this to see if I can find it on my app store. I can't find it on the phone, but yeah. So it's actually for Apple Music and Spotify. So this one was really specific to music, right? But it's just got some amazing Now Playing kind of stuff in here. And I'm
Okay.
thinking that if I have the cover flow one and then I have this one tied to Apple Music, that because Apple Music is going to start playing, that
Right.
it's going to be this widget pod, which is very, very configurable. So, like I said, you got to buy it in order to actually put the widgets on your home screen, but it looks
Okay.
pretty cool. So,
So
that's
is
another
this
one I
one
wanted to mention.
super expensive or what is this?
Nope,
Or is
four
it like a
bucks.
subscription? Oh,
$4.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Single in app
Definitely
purchase,
worth it.
no subscription. So yeah, I'm just waiting for my new phone. And then I'll buy that one and turn that
Right.
on and go in and check it out. So and then there's a couple other widget apps. I don't use these as much anymore. One of them is called Color Widgets, and the other one is called Sticky Widgets, and they have clocks and phones and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The Sticky Widgets one, I think it's Sticky Widgets, not Color Widgets. One of the two is like old-fashioned sticky notes that you can have on
Okay.
your home screen in a widget, and it'll have the text in there, and then you can tap into them and add text and stuff to them. So I
Okay,
used to
cool.
use those for like my camping lists until reminders got so good. So both of those have
Yeah.
been updated with interactivity activity as well. So those are widget specific ones um, that have been updated that I'd recommend folks check out.
Okay. Yeah, those are all pretty cool. And like I mentioned before, I hadn't really played around with any of these widget apps even before the interactive widgets and things like that. So, um, yeah, these really piqued my curiosity. So I'm going to check them out.
All right, and then here's some non-widget apps that did mention iOS 17 compatibility. One of them is PeakAlk. If anybody knows anything
Hmm.
about PeakAlk, James Thompson, the developer, is day one on every platform that Apple has. He's going to be day one on the Vision Pro too, he said. So
Yeah.
if you need a calculator app, this is the one to get. Um, but I'm not sure what the new functionality is there because I don't see any new widgets from him. And I know there was concern about building a full calculator into a widget, but I've seen other people do it. So maybe now he's going to go, okay, Apple didn't reject theirs, so maybe I should go do that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep
Yeah.
my eye on that one. Um, Everybody knows that listens to the show knows that Overcast is my podcast player of choice.
Right.
Marco Arman's got an amazing widget for iPhone. So he's got a couple of different ones where you can see all your playlists, and you can just hit play right from the widget and start Overcast playing. So that's one I'm going to be fiddling with on the new phone as well.
Right.
And nothing on the watch.
Not yet.
me want watch widgets. So I
Right.
think whatever change he made, I think did improve the synchronization of the data between the two, like being able to download podcasts onto my watch quickly, which is number one
Okay.
for sure. But I need
Yeah.
Overcast to have a widget and or the little icon that goes into that one widget where you can put three icons of apps, right? I need one
Right.
or both of those things. So hopefully that's coming. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, Fantastical, which is my calendar app of choice, much to Jason's surprise, um,
Yeah.
has widgets in all places. Interactive widgets for the devices, standby mode, and on the watch. and the widgets on the watch are garbage.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
So, but the standby widgets are really good. I've actually configured a couple of them. I like their calendar view that shows you the days of the month better than I like Apple's.
Okay.
Because it also it highlights days that you've got events on there, so you know
Okay.
if you
Which,
have any
yeah,
blank. Yeah,
it doesn't do that with Apple. Right. Right.
yep. And then you've got some to-do list widgets and stuff like that that you can do on there. So when I get my new phone set up, I'll probably do a video on how I'm setting up standby and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, widgets in all places. They are interactive. I like that I can go in and I've got the Fantastical widget and I can just tap on a to-do in the little box and it checks it off and it disappears and rolls up the next one. They've got a big plus button for starting something new right off of the widget. So that stuff
Right.
is really, really, really good. So, and then the last one um, is Outlook. Okay, now I know
Yes.
people look at me and go, "Why do you use Outlook?" I use it
Right.
because I run a business and I use Microsoft stuff for pretty much everything because I'm a consultant for
Right.
companies that use Microsoft
They
products.
use
So,
Outlook. Right.
but it's also what I'm comfortable with. We talked about this, right? I use it because I know how to manage it. I don't want to deal with
Right.
Google or anything else. So they
Right.
updated,
We used
they
it for
have,
years.
yep, they have widgets. The widgets on the phone look really good. The
Hmm.
standby widget is pretty good. And nothing on the watch, which is
Yes.
where I need it. Same thing with Overcast because the that Outlook is the way that I send myself quick notes when I'm out with just
Hmm.
my watch. Is I use Outlook to send myself an email and then it updates when I get back to the house and I'm good to go. So I need widgets on the watch. People, a lot of people are using watches. The Ultra
Yes.
and Ultra 2s have become ridiculously popular. So
Right. Right.
put the widgets on the watch, please. So
Yes.
there's my rant because I need
So,
both of those. I don't use a lot of apps on the watch, right? I use
right.
mostly Apple stuff and Overcast and Outlook.
Right. Right.
And the two that I
And
really want, ugh,
yeah. So, and I'm hoping too that these companies aren't going by the numbers, right? Because I think most people don't use a lot of apps on the watch, right? The people who really want that functionality and they get every bit of usage they can, they use it. And we want things like widgets and stuff like
yeah,
that. But hopefully they're not going to the just looking at those numbers and they look at their app store metrics and they look at the watch store metrics and they say, let's deprioritize that. Nobody's using that. But that's the reason why nobody's using it because you guys aren't giving us what we want on the watch. So yeah,
right.
I'm with you. I think hopefully that's not what's going on with a lot of these developers. They're just like, oh, when this number reaches the millions, then I'll show more interest in it. But
Yeah.
right now it's just a few thousand, and but hey, it is what it is.
Well,
So, but back.
here's the problem. So this is the problem that Overcast and Outlook, and if Microsoft is listening to this and can hear this
Mhm.
for
I
Outlook,
think they're
awesome.
listening.
Right. Yeah, me too. Right. Because of this, I've gone to using the Snoopy watch face only like on Sunday. And you know how
Okay.
much I love my Snoopy watch face.
Right.
And the
Right.
reason for that is because the only way for me to get to Outlook and Overcast, if I'm using the Snoopy watch face, is
Hmm.
to press the crown and get that, or to double press the crown, not press the crown, but to double press the crown and then scroll
Right.
through all my open apps
Right.
to
Right.
find that one because I can't do it on
With the
the
widget. Yeah.
widgets. But if I use the new modular watch face that you and I both love, I've
Right.
got Outlook and Overcast just sitting there, and it's either a pinch and tap, right, with the assistive touch, or a simple
Hmm.
tap away. And so I'm back to when I need functionality, I'm back to that watch face that I
Right. Right.
love, but
And
it's not Snoopy.
and you're right. This is what I didn't want to happen, right? I wanted to keep using those widgets. I wanted to remember. I you recommended using the portrait watch face with the widgets and stuff like that. Used it and I loved it for that week. Same with the Snoopy. But since this modular watch face has been out, I just enjoy just at one glance seeing the weather, seeing the temperature, being able to control devices, being able to go to my messages and stuff like that. All that at a glance functionality. I love it. So yeah, yeah. Back to what we were saying. Give us the widgets. We'll start using more of these watch faces.
Look, if I could put Outlook and Overcast as icons in that one widget, right, that gives you
Hmm.
three icon spots, I would pin
Yes.
that to the top. And then all it is a swipe up or a scroll up of the crown and a tap.
Yeah.
Then I could use the Snoopy watch face or the photo watch faces or try some of the others that I want to try all day long.
Right.
But not if I'm going to have to go hunting and pecking for
Yeah.
the what I need to get to. So yeah, give me. I honestly think Overcast is going to get it because I just think it was a priority thing
Yeah.
for him. And like I said, the fact that he cleaned up or was able to take advantage of 17 and get better synchronization between the phone and
Yes.
the watch for the data, absolutely priority number one, right? I have to wait basically no time now for podcasts to download, whereas before it was just you know,
Yeah.
luck of
Watching
the
paint
draw.
dry.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to talk about watching paint dry and grass grow and all that kind of stuff when we get to the stuff I bought.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, those are the apps. I know Jason, you've got a couple. I do want to mention that Work Outdoors app of mine. That's my first biggest frustration right now. I need that app to work now. I haven't been able
Right.
to work out in 2 weeks, so I guess it's kind of irrelevant. But those communication issues are a problem, right? And
Yes.
that's got to be something fundamental in the way the app is calling the audio APIs because it works fine in the workout app itself, Apple's.
Hmm.
And I've had problems with both of my headphone sets, my AirPods Pro and my Beats, right? So
Right.
it's got to be
Right.
something in there. I don't know. So there's my rant about an app that needs to get updated because it's designed to be used on the watch, fix some of my
Yeah.
communication issues, right?
Right. Right. So, and that falls in line too with some of the communication issues with some of the apps I have on my list. So I know we mentioned that we're not seeing a lot of apps specifically being updated for 17, but there are some that I check daily that I need updated, right? These apps are really having some issues. And so if I could go on my little rant for a minute, my security cameras here at the house,
Ooh.
my not all of them, but my main ones. Now, they work fine. And I'm talking about the Arlo security apps, or Arlo security cameras, right? I have a 4K camera in the front, right over the driveway to watch over the cars in the front yard. One over the door. The back door is also a 4K camera. Then I have some just HD cameras around. They work fine in the Arlo app, right? I can go to the app, I can open it up and they'll load it and they'll load up. There's something going on with HomeKit to where, right, someone comes to ring the doorbell and that's a different company. It pops up, right? When it pops up, it'll show who's standing there or whatever, and I can tap on it, interact with them and whatnot. But it also shows the other cameras. It'll be like 30 to 40 seconds in before one of those cameras updates, right? And then it'll update, and then the other one will show a day ago or 2 days ago or whenever the last time it synced. And some of them won't sync at all. So there's something going on that I need them to update this app so I can continue using my security cameras in HomeKit, right? Because I don't like to use, we have, you know, 50 different, apps to use with, and if they work with HomeKit, I would rather just use it in HomeKit. That way I can view and control all of these devices. So definitely Arlo Security, they need to get on that. The Withings HealthMate app, that's my blood pressure monitor app, still having communication issues. I found out this weekend, and I hadn't paired it because now we can tap credit card payments directly on our iPhone. Um, for whatever reason, I needed to use the Square a credit card chip reader. It didn't pair easy at all. I had to go and remove it twice, re-add it just to get it to take a credit card payment. And most people may know if you have a customer standing in front of you, you want to be as efficient as possible, right? You want to be able to. That's just part of good customer service. You don't want to have your customer standing there like, okay, this guy's an amateur. He can't take my card. Um, but yeah, it didn't pair easily, and having to totally remove it and then re-add it again is not something that you would enjoy doing, let alone having to do it twice. Um, and there's a few other apps too, like you mentioned, Greg, that I want widget functionality for, right? There's some banking apps that have widgets currently that aren't just working as good as they used to after the update. Um, there's one in particular, I won't name names, but the widget's there. Every time you go to look at the widget, it wants you to tap and log into the main app just so you can view the widget. Well, what is the point? I don't need a
Yeah.
widget that I have to tap on to read. So there's a lot of that going on that I know when they release a specific iOS 17 app, a lot of those issues would be resolved. But it's been over a week already. Let's get on it,
Well, so
right?
then the question that then comes up in my mind is, did some of these developers see iOS 17 as such a minor thing and they said, well, I'm
Right.
not doing widgets, so I don't need to worry about it?
Yeah.
When there seems to be some core
Right.
something under
Some
there, whether it's some
internal,
Bluetooth
some back end stuff.
changes
Yeah.
or, yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. When I get my new phone, I'm going to do all the things. And sometimes, starting off with a fresh, set of data, even if I transfer my
Right.
data, which I'm probably going to do now. Um, that
That may
sometimes,
change.
sometimes that cleans some stuff up.
Yes.
Right. And so we'll see, but it's just like, these apps, we rely on this stuff, especially if you think about banking, right? I mean, that
Right.
was one of
Right.
my concerns with my mom's cell phone, is all of her banking stuff, right? For any of her personal stuff that we needed to get to, the only way I was going to get to it was either through the
Was through the app.
mounds of paperwork I had to go through to find
Right.
stuff, or if she had it on her phone. So yeah, I just hope that developers haven't said, it's iOS 17, there's nothing that really impacts us,
Right.
and didn't do anything. And if that's the approach that they took, please, get on top of stuff. And this has made
Yeah.
me, I mean, macOS Sonoma is coming out today. And I got thinking about this
Right.
yesterday.
Right.
I'm a little hesitant to throw it on. I said I was going to upgrade on day one because I wanted everything in sync, but I'm a little hesitant to do
Right.
that, even for the Microsoft suite of stuff. And maybe I'll wait a couple of days and see if the Office suite gets updated and it says specifically Sonoma
Yeah.
compatibility. But it just seems like developers didn't pay attention like they did in the past, and we could
Yeah.
be completely wrong. And like you said, they could all be sitting in the wings, or app approval is backed up, or whatever the case may be.
Yes.
But
That
it
could be
just
too.
it is very unusual that we haven't seen. I've got, I don't know, a couple hundred apps on my phone, or whatever the case may be. At least half of them should have been released and specifically said iOS 17 compatibility.
Right. Right. And and we complain about these developers, but real quick before we finish, I've just been having HomeKit issues in general,
Yeah.
right? Remember I told you I had to take off my HomeKit iPad that I have, mounted on the counter because I believe that it was causing some issues and some delays because there was some things for Matter and stuff that got updated on all the devices, and that one's too old to receive those updates. So I said, well, let me take that one out of the equation. But this weekend, I told you, like all day, the hub was just going offline and online, offline and online. And it's weird because I noticed yesterday too was particularly bad because during the dismissal or when the bus drops off for the kids, um, we're in and out, right? We'll go out of the front door, and I get a notification for all of those when it's unlocked, walk by the camera, door locks, all of that, right? Go to the bus stop, come back, unlock the door, walk by the camera, unlock. So I get those constant notifications. They all were delayed to the point where I was getting all three notifications when we're already in the
Yeah.
inside sitting down and things like that. And it's just annoying. So I don't think it's just developers. I think
Yeah.
Apple's having some back end issues too that they're working out. And it's all speculations. We're not insiders yet, so we don't know specifically if there's a problem, but it seems like there's something going on, at least with HomeKit right now, and a
And
few other things too that you've dealt with.
yep. And maybe they were doing some back end stuff to get ready for Sonoma dropping today
Right,
too,
right,
right? So
yeah. So they're
that's
still
why I
making a lot
said
of changes and stuff too.
that's the big thing about me getting on Sonoma, is I want everything on the latest, because the latest and greatest are all going to play much nicer together. And I still
Right,
haven't upgraded all my home stuff to the new standard. because I've got a couple of old devices that sit in there that
Yeah,
can't be
can
updated.
be
So
updated.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
I hope this stabilizes in the next couple of weeks because it's a little bit painful. So
yeah, yeah. Same here. And again, we're complaining about things that they work well when you open the app, or they work well
yeah.
when you be a little patient with it, but it doesn't work exactly as advertised.